Hey everybody, welcome back to It's a Metal Thing. Today, 8.8, 2.0. Let's get started. All right, so it's gonna be the second rear end I built for this Falcon. I did the typical thing on the first one. I didn't ever really measure it, I just thought it'd be thin or narrow enough. I was told that it ended up being close to the stock, and it probably is. Width of the rear end when you narrow the one side, so you guys know, take a short side, move it to this side. That's what I did. It wasn't narrow enough. It was almost, and I probably would have ran it had I not had to move the springs inboard and do a bunch of extra work. So I sold the other one for what I had into it, and I built this. I just got the axles, Mosier axles. I got the gears and the rebuild kit and new brakes. I'm waiting on the locker rebuild kit, but I'm gonna start cutting this up today. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to take it all apart and clean it, and then mark it up and cut it up and weld it up. So that's what we're gonna do today. Let's get after it. All right, disassembly. I got the brakes off. I'm gonna try to sell that kit. I'm gonna see if somebody wants to put it on Marketplace. This is a tricky one. Try not to break this. It might already be broken. So it's threaded in here, and then there's a pin, and it snaps. The last one snapped on me inside there. So be gentle with this. Before you take these apart, mark these. They have an up and a down and a right and a left. So put some punches on them, or mark them with some paint, or do whatever you got to do before you take that all apart and mix them up. So I mean, they're marked out, right? And you could probably look at numbers, but it's just gonna be easier just to mark them. So mark the right and the left, and then hopefully this comes out in one piece. Also too, later when we get down there, there's shims on either side of this carrier. Keep track of those, which side they're on. So I'm gonna take this out and see what happens. Okay, let's see. It's got Loctite on it, so it doesn't come out real easy. What do we got here, kids? So this three-legged dog walks into a bar, says, "I'm looking for the man who shot my paw." Ah, good. Thank you, Lord. All right, good. So that's a little easier. Last one I went to the local machine shop supply place. They had a long drill bit. I was able to get that in there. So now I'll just pull that pin out, pull these axles out. I can take these end plates off. I'll package all that up and post it up on Marketplace. And then, bust all this out. So yeah, I'm happy that pin came out. So I'm gonna do all that next. All right, so I marked the bearing caps, took those off, push the axles in, get a magnet, pull the C-clips off, pull the axles out, and then you can lift this thing out of here. So let's do that. Okay, got the center section out. Two shims, they're different sizes. I just marked it like I did the cap, put a punch on it, so I know the difference between the right and the left. They're a little bit different in the thickness. I don't know if you can tell. Looks to me, without actually measuring, it looks to me like the one that's on the right is thinner. So you gotta make sure you get those back. You might have to do some shim work. These are junk. Throw them in the junk pile. You might have to add some shim on the last one. I got it pretty tight in there. Get a good preload on it. Your kit comes with a bunch of different shims, so depending on the bearings and how it works, you might have to do some shimming around, but that comes later. Now unbolt the brake mount, get rid of this. Then pull the pinion out. Gotta find the impact or get a big breaker bar in there and pop that out, and then cut these off. Good times. So that's next. All right, got the pinion out. Got the seals pulled out. Got this bearing down here to knock out. I have to knock out these races here, these two races. When you take this apart, I'm gonna run a crush sleeve eliminator. And so if you save this, it's a good place to start. You measure this and it'll get you going in the right direction. So save that if you're gonna do that. You might wanna save it anyway, just because, but until the job's done. But if you're gonna put a crush sleeve on it, I don't think you have to worry about it. But here's the deal. This car is gonna maybe make 500 if it's lucky. I'm not gonna do a bunch of changes to the engine. But I want to build a car strong enough for someone if they want to put something stronger in it later. So that's why I'm doing that. Crush sleeve eliminator. If you got a hard hit, it'll crush that thing more. Then it loosens up the tolerance of the rear end and it blows up. So it's just good insurance. It's cheap. So yeah, save that. So now I'm gonna knock out this bearing. Got this piece of pipe. I just take a piece of pipe and but I do it a lot harder than that. It takes about 5 or 6 good whacks and it'll shoot that bearing out. So don't do it by anything that's painted. So I'm gonna do that now, and then yeah, I'll knock those other races out, and then I'll probably pressure wash it. And then I'll start cutting those brackets off. Okay, stripped down, bearings out, races out, seals out, everything's out. Now I gotta cut these off. On the last one, I tried to cut the welds and it was just a joke. So I'm just gonna hack these off. So I saw a guy online do it. He just cut them down the middle with a death wheel, and then just cut at an angle here as close as you can and just grind it off. It's cleaner and you don't get into the tube, and you just gotta pay attention not to cut into the tube. So I'm gonna get my little Milwaukee grinder out and start hacking and maiming. So that's next. So like that, and I'll just come back and grind that off, get it smooth and nice. So yeah, didn't take that long. So I'm gonna cut them all off. All right, they're all cut off. You can see how gnarly it is. Using a 5-inch with a 50 grit, it works pretty quick. Man, it makes them flat. You don't get a lot of waves in the material when you're done. So it goes quick. I'll show you. So, like that. Definitely got cut in here. I got to weld that up, but So nice and flat, straight. I just gotta grind the other 3 like that, so do that next. Everything's cut off, cleaned up, sanded up, smoothed up. I'm gonna put my cuts in now. I'm gonna cut this off. So I figure my spring perch is gonna be out here somewhere, probably close to 4 inches over here, close enough to come up with a dimension that leaves me 11 inches from this point to this point. 5.5 is where I'm going to make my cut. I'll do the same thing on both sides. I got it marked out. Now I need to put a reference line on here. You have to put a line on here to clock this, to make sure this all stays in the proper alignment. So the best way to do that, to mark anything straight line that's going to be parallel with the direction of the tube, is to take a piece of straight, nice angle iron, and you lay that on there, and it's going to be a straight line. So mark your reference line. You could even scribe that, because you're going to be handling this piece of metal, cutting it and doing some other things, possibly the line getting wiped off as possible. So you might want to scribe it. It's up to you. Now I need to make a line around this tube. The best way to make a straight line is with a piece of paper, a smaller tube, you get poster board or whatever, as long as the paper's square and lines up. So you just wrap it around here. If the edges line up and the paper's tight, it's going to be square. It's going to be a square line all the way around, square with the tube. So you line up those edges, everything lines up. This is going to be perfectly round around this tube. So you just trace this piece of paper around, and you're going to have a square line on here. Now whether you cut it straight or not, that's up to you. That's going to be on you, but this line will be square and straight. So I'm going to cut 1.5 inches off of this one, and 4 3/8 off of this one. Those are my dimensions. For this particular, you're going to figure out your own dimensions. Again, if you try to use a piece of tape, you could, but the opportunity for it to wander but that's going to be straight. So I'm going to cut these off and take them to saw and cut the length off that I need. I'm actually going to sleeve the inside of these. I didn't do it on the last one. It's not necessary, but it'll make it stronger. So I'm going to machine some tubing to go in here. I'm going to make this a little bit short. I'm going to have like an 1/8 inch gap, so I can weld up on that sleeve in there, along with some plug welds around here, just to give it some strength. So do that next. Pretty good. Okay, cut 1.5 inches off of this. I'm gonna do one side complete, get it set up, get it all in there, and then work on this side. I go all the way through the process and see if there's something I have to change before I get over there. So, what's next? All right, went to my local steel store. They had this rim laying around. It's a 3-inch OD quarter wall. 11.5 inches, $33. Best steel store in the country, Modesto Steel. They have everything. They got brass, they got all the aluminum shapes, they have everything. It's like a little boutique shop. They got perforated steel, they got stainless steel, they got everything. Anyway, yeah, happy. This is about 2 7/8-ish. I took my die grinder with a cutoff wheel and ground down the seam in there. I cleaned up the inside with the Buffy thing. So now I'm going to measure this up and turn this. Like I said, there's 11.5 inches. I'll probably make 2 pieces 5 inches long that'll fit in here. I want them snug, so I want them tap in. That's the goal. So got to be careful not to get too carried away with that. I'm okay on the lathe, but they can get away from me really fast. So yeah, that's next. Cut that, turn that. Got to do the inside of this tube on the housing here, and then I'll get it all slid together and measured out. So I'll do that next. Turn these down. These are all cleaned up. Chamfered the edge, both of these. I checked the measurements. So originally this thing was 17 5/16. to this edge here. I purposely cut too much off. I'm about an 1/8 inch or 3/16, so that when this thing's together, it has a bit of a gap. Ends up being, what was 17, now it's 15 and 13/16. So yeah, this piece fits in here. So I'm going to put these ends in. Got a nice fit on them. I'm happy with the fit. The tube, obviously, this axle tube isn't perfectly straight or perfectly round, but it goes in, I think. These are 5 inches long. Now make sure you get that seam out of there up to that point. If you're doing it this way, you don't have to do it this way. You can just weld the axles if you do a good job on welding. It's good for street cars and all that stuff. I'm just doing a little bit extra on this one because I want it to be able to go down the strip. So now, since this is in place, I'm going to come back. I'm going to drill 3 holes. Dang it. I'm gonna drill 3 holes in here and plug weld it where it needs to be. Part of the reason that you can pre-drill first, you can do that. It works fine. I like to pre-drill or drill it and have it together at the same time, so the tip and a little bit goes down inside this a little bit, so it gets a little better bite on there. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put the other one in. Going to drill and plug weld those, and then slide these on, get them all indexed where they need to be, set the distance right, and then I have a way to clamp it to even keep it straighter. This will help quite a bit, so I'm gonna do that next. Okay, so I drill them just a little deep. I get the tip going at least down in there. That allowed me to get a puddle started. Plus it'll make it harder for this thing to move around when it's all welded up. So these are all pre-drilled. I'm gonna weld these in first so that when I tap these on, it won't move. So I'm just gonna plug weld these 3 up. I'm going to slide those on, get them all straightened up, and then clamp them up. Okay, the little stub piece is plug welded in. The end piece is pushed on, hammered on, nice tight fit. Thank you, Randy. Excellent fit on that tube. Snug, they're straight. This is a machine or sheared edge, so nice and straight through here. I do this to clamp them. It works good. It kind of find this happy place. I got the clamps at Home Depot. They're 4 to 5 inch stainless clamps. They have pretty good clamping power. The good thing with the angle iron, it finds its happy place. Everything should be centered up. It's already straight, but if you're not going to do the tube on the inside, this is a good way to ensure that the tube stays straight. If you're not going to do the tube on the inside, you wouldn't have this gap. You'd have this tight in here. That's up to you. I'm going to drill some holes in here. Plug weld 3 spots on this side, on this one. Pull this mechanism off, I'll be able to weld in here, because once that's plug welded in, it's not moving anywhere. If you were to not run this tube and these were gonna be tight, the good thing about this is you can tack 3 sides really quick. So you could burn a good tack in here, come around here before it had a chance to cool and pull around too much, at least limit some of that. So I'm going to drill holes, plug weld, move the clamping mechanism over here, and then I'll burn in that seam. That's next. Weld it up. So I'm gonna grind this smooth. It might be a little low in here maybe. Grind this smooth, flat. Come back and fill in some of the undercut. And there's some spots where it got ground up a little bit. So I'm gonna come back, grind it up, smooth it up, DA it up. Clean up all these down here. Pressure wash it, degrease it one more time. I'll probably go ahead and put a coat of paint on it. I use that Steel It. It's a stainless steel coating. You can weld to it, so later when I weld the saddles on, which I got today. Got my big giant 4-wheel drive ones to help with wrap. I don't think I have any wrap because I'm going to use a ladder bar, but they're big and stout, just the way I want them. So yeah, I'm going to grind it up and clean it up. That's next. All right, done. Had to run and get some 50 grit grinding discs across town. I didn't realize I was out. So I'm going to just smooth this up with a DA a little bit. Super clean, pressure wash, get rid of all the grit and stuff out of the outside. Probably put a coat of paint on it, that seal it. Set up the gears. I'm waiting on the clutches for the locker. So they were back ordered. I ordered them a while ago. Hopefully they'll be here Friday or Monday. And I can throw some gears in this thing. So I'm gonna end this video here. If you like the video, subscribe, and check me out on Instagram. It's a metal thing, and I'll catch you on the next one.